Hi, TC here. Today I'm going to make a Christmas card. I'm going to use a piece of green card, a piece of watercolour paper and some watercolour paints. The colours I'm using are indigo, Payne's grey, aurora yellow, although you can use absolutely any yellow, viridian green, a little bit of cadmium red and a little bit of raw umber. First I just cut out two little pieces of paper and did two sketches. I did a little bird bath with 3 robins and just a little snowy scene. And first I just wet the sky, drop in some blue paint, that's cerulean blue. There's a little touch of aurora yellow in there, just in the middle. And then I put in some indigo and some more Payne's grey. Just let that all sort of merge around nicely. It's actually a good idea just to dab it out because it gives it a nice kind of more of a cloudy look. And then I just painted the distant mountains in viridian green and a little bit of, it was a mixture of aurora yellow, a little bit of raw umber. So I just dropped those colours in there, and then I went on to do the tree, which I started with viridian green. Then I put in some Payne's grey, some indigo blue for the darker parts. Just dabbed it all over sort of intermittently just to give it a nice kind of uneven look. You don't want it to look all the same. And when I did that, I did the trees that are in the distance. I did them with a slightly paler colour, just the same colours but just slightly watered down. I put the dark bits in the bottom again. Then I finished the other trees in the distance, and then I started to just tidy up the big tree again, put a few more darks in. Just make it a little bit more kind of straggly tree shape. I put in a fence, a little rickety wooden fence. It doesn't have to be even. In fact, the more rickety and uneven it is, the better it will look. And for that I just used a mix of a little bit of cadmium red, a little bit of raw umber and a little bit of the yellow. I just painted a little bit more in the background as well, just sort of anything that was in the palette, just a little bit of this and a bit of that tends to go quite well. And in the foreground I painted a little bit of raw umber, just to give sort of impressions in the snow of tracks. And I painted some more dark in the background, just with the Payne's grey. And then on the right hand side I painted in a little bit of a fence. The fence is a little rickety, sort of fallen over. And the tree is going to sort of hang over it a little bit with snow on it, so that's why it's looking all sort of leaning over. Again, that was a little bit of raw umber. I think I made it a bit darker with some indigo and Payne's grey. I put in the shadows on the ground of the posts. And put a little bit of blue in the snow on the ground as well, just to reflect the sky. Then I used a little bit of gouache, Winsor & Newton gouache in pale grey, because I didn't have any white watercolour. And I just kind of roughly dabbed that on in sort of like following the shape of the branches, so that it looked heavy and thick. So I just went all over and dabbed that on. And in the background I just made it a little bit thinner for the background trees. Just sort of dabbed it on. And then the closer trees on the right hand side I did the same again, just dabbed them on. Tried to make the shape sort of stand out. Then I went over that with some white acrylic. It was just a very cheap acrylic that I bought. It was a no brand, but it did the trick. And I just went over all the pieces that I did already. As you can see, it looks quite snow-like. Put it on quite thick so that it looks like heavy snow weighing the branches down. And then I painted a little bit of snow on the fence. The branch will actually hang over the fence a little bit with the snow over it, so don't worry too much if that doesn't look too good right now. And I put a little bit of snow on the ground up against the posts at the bottom so that it looks like snowdrift. Now that's all done. I've mixed a little bit of acrylic with some water so that it's really thin, and I did the flicking to get the snowdrops or the snowflakes in the distance. I just touched up where I thought I needed to put more snow. Now for the middle, I'm going to put a little picture of a bird table with 3 little robins on. It's just a quick little sketch that I did. Started off with a little bit of Payne's grey, quite watered down a lot. A little bit of indigo in there. A little bit of cadmium red that I brushed on, just to pick up the colours in the robins' chests so that they've got, looks uniform. And I painted the little robin with cadmium red and a little bit of raw umber and I believe a little bit of yellow. I painted the wings on with a little bit more of Payne's grey, just slightly. I didn't put too much detail in because they're just kind of little fluffy birds, but I think the red gives it away that they are actually robins. I continued painting the bird table stand with some yellow and it kind of looks sort of mossy. I painted in some cracks so that it looked weathered and rough, and a few more dabs of red so it just ties in nicely with the little robins. Tried to make it look sort of really old and craggy. It's really good fun doing that because you can just play, you can just do this for ages. Just made it a little bit darker at the bottom of the bowl shape at the top so that because it's in the shade, so it has to look a bit darker. And then at the bottom where it flares out at the bottom of the stand, it's a little bit lighter where it catches the light. And I just kept stroking on all the colours, the yellow, the red, until I got the effect that I wanted. I think there's probably a little bit of indigo in there as well. When I did this, I actually just used most of the colours that were in the palette. I just sort of mushed it all around and to get that nice sort of colour, a nondescript colour that looks kind of weathered. Then I just refined the little birds a little bit more, put the little tails in and just tidied it up a bit. And then I got some snow, or I made some snow by dabbing in some nice thick white acrylic. I put it on really thick, then I let it dry, then I just went over it again a couple more times so that it actually looks like thick hanging snow. I dripped some down the side and on the bottom there. At the bottom I put quite a lot of white acrylic, and then I painted in some little grass bits to make it look like it was sort of growing out of the snow. And then I dabbed over it again. I wanted to make it look slightly mucky. Didn't want it too clean because it is at the ground level and it does get a bit grimy at the bottom there. And that's basically it. So next step is to get a gel pen. Well, I used a red gel metallic pen, but you could use anything that you like. You could use a felt tip, or you could paint it on, or whatever you like. But I used the red metallic gel pen because it went really nice with the green, although you can't really see it there, but it did actually look really nice. So I just went over what I drew on in pencil. And then I drew a little bit of holly. The pencil marks actually rub out really easily. I went over the writing 2 or 3 times. I did actually use a gold and a green as well, just to highlight bits on the writing. With the holly, I painted it with some dark green acrylic paint. And then I outlined the holly leaves with a gel pen, a metallic gel pen, just for a nice effect. And then I drew the line in the middle of each leaf with a gold colour gel pen. And for the berries, I just used some lovely bright red acrylic. And that was that. That was really simple to do. That was good fun as well. And you don't have to put holly, you could put anything you like, but I thought that just set it off nicely. So now we come to the part where we stick the first picture on the front. I just used a little bit of double-sided tape on each side and press that on. I left a small gap at the bottom of the card, green, so that you could actually get the contrast. It looked quite nice. I just forgot to take a piece of the double-sided tape cover off, so I'm just pulling that off. And then we do that again, so that's nice. I think that looks okay. And then we get to do the middle bit. So again we use the double-sided tape. We get our little picture of our bird bath. We center it and just press it into place. And I think that stands out really nice against the green. You could use any colour. Like I said, I did one card in red and that looked really pretty. You could use absolutely any colour because the reds and the whites in it just go with any other colour that you would use. It stands out really nicely. And that's the little card. That's so simple. And at the end I did actually paint a little bit of snow on the distant mountain. And that was it.